our first speaker. I've seen him since he was a guest 3 times. I was watching him and trying to figure him out. I couldn't figure him out. But he decided to join, and soon after, he's already doing his first speech. He didn't wait a month, but he's jumping right in. So let's give Chris a hand for his icebreaker.
Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. Have you ever been at a party and someone comes up to you and starts chatting with you, and at first you're thinking, yes, I've got somebody's company, I'll be talking to them, things will be good. And after 2 minutes you haven't said a single word, and you start to get their whole life story, and it's rolling and rolling. And after 4 or 5 minutes you're thinking, will this person ever shut up? That's what I have the pleasure of sharing with you this evening as my icebreaker speech. In the next 4 to 5 minutes, you'll get to know a lot about me, and hopefully when you run into me at the next Toastmasters party, I won't have to give you my speech. I've broken my life down conveniently into 3 different portions for you. First, I'll talk about my formative years. I grew up, born and raised in South Lyon, Michigan, 30 miles west of Detroit. My only memories of South Lyon pertain to catching frogs and snakes across the street in a pond. And my first day of school, I didn't take the bus, and my mom found me halfway through the school day because I was scared of my first day of school. 2 years, at the age of maybe 6 or 7, we moved to Florida. My dad took an opportunity at a position he couldn't pass. We lived there for 2 years. My memories there are the beach, the sunshine, and meeting my mom's best friends who, in Florida, who were from Slapout, Alabama, about 45 minutes away. They'd never left Alabama. They'd never left Florida. We took them to the mall in Pensacola. They rode the escalator up and down for a half hour straight. That's what I think of people in Florida in that area. We soon moved to Mississippi after that for another opportunity for my dad to advance his career. He took a job in a factory there. We lived there for a year. The only real memory I have of Mississippi and growing up there was an ice storm. It completely shut everything down for over a week. Our neighbors ran out of groceries and were borrowing canned goods. People were hanging out at each other's houses because when there's a little tiny bit of ice in Mississippi, everybody's just completely trapped. So then, after a year there, we moved on to El Paso, Texas. I entered 6th grade in El Paso, Texas. By now, I've been to multiple schools. I'm used to going out and meeting friends. So halfway through my first day at school, I go out and I'm excited. It's recess. I get to go out and be the tallest kid in the class. I get picked first at basketball. I get to make friends. And I step outside, and there's 1, 2, 3 fields, and then 2 basketball courts. And I look where I'm going to go, and it's all kids playing soccer, which I've never kicked a ball in my life. So I spent that year of my life playing goalie. But in El Paso, I did meet lots of people of Latino heritage. 90% of my school had Spanish as a first language. So we were also across the border from Mexico, so every weekend we got to go to Mexico and shop and have delicious food. So then in 7th grade, we moved back to Michigan. I lived in Northville, Michigan, suburb of Detroit, very white, middle class, normal. I had a good formative years of my life. Next phase we'll call college, 8 years, but I'm not a doctor. I went to Michigan State for 2 years and dropped out when I had no direction, nowhere to go. So I then followed my passion and toured with the band Phish for the next 4 years. I've seen Phish 100 times. If you're not familiar with them, they're an improvisational rock band, which means they can take a 3-minute song and turn it into 20 minutes for no good reason. I've seen them 100 times. It's still my passion. At this point, it's almost as much about seeing my friends who also love the music and going to concerts together and everybody escaping from their day-to-day lives and getting away from their kids and their wives as it is the music. It's a great hobby. In my 8 years in East Lansing, I did eventually get a degree from Northwood University in business. I followed my music. I truly developed my 2 passions in life during that stage of my life, with music and travel. Seeing the concerts all over the country. I've seen that band in, I think, 15 states, everywhere from Las Vegas to Florida to Boston. I've also been to almost every state except for Oregon, Alaska, Hawaii, and Washington. Then we'll move on to the professional 3rd phase of my life. I moved to Baltimore for 2 years. I took a sales job there selling building materials. I didn't know what the heck I was doing at all. My first day on the job, I had to do a demonstration of how to install backer board for tiles. And in the middle of my demonstration, my boss came over and said, "Chris, you don't know how to hold a hammer." I was holding the hammer wrong and making a complete idiot of myself in front of a bunch of professional builders. After 2 years in Baltimore, I got to indulge my pleasures there. I was a traveling salesman, and then I became the East Coast trainer, so I spent all of my time on the road and got to see all the East Coast and spend 3 out of 4 weeks on the road and really got to travel everywhere and see music and have great times. After 2 years there, I decided I wanted to be back in the Midwest. It's where my family's from, it's where my heart is. So I came to Chicago and got myself a sales job here. I've had a great time in Chicago. I love the city. I have met the love of my life. We've been living together for a year. I still indulge my 2 greatest pleasures. I go 2 trips out of the country every year, and I still see my favorite musical acts all the time when they come to town, and occasionally on a good road trip. I have developed my sales career into a sales management career, and I've won a bunch of awards. I'm very happy with the way my career is progressing. I've joined Toastmasters as a culmination of my trip to Chicago in order to better my speaking abilities, to become a more polished speaker and presenter, and to move to the next phase of my career. And that sums up my professional life. So now, that's the end of the 3 parts of my life. So when you come up to me at the next Toastmasters meeting, you won't have to listen to me ramble at you all 5 minutes individually. You got to all have it together. Toastmaster.